I wish that Grace and Calvin could see you all. They would be proud to have such a distinguished group in the museum. Do you remember Click and Clack? And at the end of their show, they would say, "This is brought to you by Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe." It's a moment of shameless commerce. Well, that's the purpose of the little slip of paper that was on most chairs today. Not every chair, because we had to add some chairs. But Gallery of Readers Press is a 501c3 nonprofit that's supported by donations. And Carol and I always want to make clear that, we run writing groups, which is our own little cottage industry, but it is not Gallery of Readers. We are employees of Gallery and Readers for the grand sum of zero, and your donations go to support these events and the publication of books by local new and experienced authors, and our website, which we just finished upgrading and which I hope you will visit and enjoy. So that's why we put a little fundraising thing on everybody's seat. And now I'd like to welcome Carol Edelstein.
What a delight to see you all here. The room is full. We could get kicked out for this many people, but I don't think they'll do it. Welcome to those of you who are tuning in from the YouTube channel. And I would like to ask everyone to follow my lead and silence your cell phones. The last event I was at, I did not do that, and it was really kind of embarrassing. And the order of events today is that the readers, Sally Bellerose and Renee Schultz, will be introducing one another. Renee will introduce Sally, she'll read, and we will save our break for the end because there are people tuning in from afar, and we want to just keep the event going. You have a wonderful, wonderful set of readings ahead. I got a little preview of coming attractions, and I know that. So without further ado,
good. Hi, it's great to see all of you. I'm lucky to get to, what? A little closer there? Is that better? Fine back there? Okay. I'm delighted to introduce Sally Bellerose. I've had the privilege of writing with Sally for many years. We're almost ready to say decades, but we don't really want to say that yet. Even through COVID distancing, we wrote together online through all of it. So here we are, happy to be reading at this together. And I want to say Sally's writing is richly descriptive, funny, complex, and filled with life. Sally Bellerose is a retired RN, essayist, short story writer, and poet. She's the author of 2 novels, Fishwives and The Girls Club, and if you're interested, there's some out there for sale. Her fiction won an NEA fellowship and other prizes. Her untitled novel, In Progress, centers around Billy, a middle-aged man who is alert, full of emotion, nonverbal, blind, profoundly developmentally challenged, and institutionalized. The institution he has called home for 40 years is about to close. Sally will read the first scene from her novel, In Progress. The story follows the struggles between Billy's willful 85-year-old mother, an equally willful nurse, a cast of caregivers, and the healthcare system, all while Billy attempts to meet his moment-to-moment challenges and desires. Sally is sick of calling her latest work her novel in progress and would love to hear any suggestions for a title. She'll also be reading another short piece unrelated to the novel. Here you go, Sally.
Wow. Thank you. It makes my heart happy to see you all. So many people I know and people I don't know. It's what a venue, what a place. Thank you for that, Renee. Thank you for inviting us, Carol Robin and the Gallery of Readers. Thank you for hosting Forbes Library. Thank you for coming. This community is so lucky to have Gallery of Writers and Forbes and each other. So thank you so much. Really, it's very happy. You should come up and look. It's beautiful. I'm going to read two pieces. I told Renee that I was reading the first scene of the book, and then now I've flipped it, so it's not the first scene anymore. But that's why they call it in progress, I think. But the scene I'm going to read from my untitled novel takes place in 1995. The work is fiction, but the setting is modeled closely, as Renee said, after Munson Developmental Center, which is a residential facility that is now closed, where over 1,600 people lived. Although by 1995, there was well under 1,000 there. The people who lived at the center were all physically and developmentally challenged to some degree. I was head nurse in the building that was home for about 90 people who were profoundly physically and developmentally challenged. The character Billy in this scene was inspired by a much-loved client whose name was not Billy. Excuse me. 1995. Billy remembers the voice of everyone who touches him. Red, his favorite attendant, walks into Billy's bedroom and greets him with his usual, "Good morning, little man." Billy's happy to hear the deep, cheerful voice and strains to raise his head a few inches off his mattress to greet him back with an enthusiastic, "Wah!" Red stands over Billy's bed, which is really an oversized crib with a standard twin bed mattress. Red tousles Billy's hair and looks over his shoulder at Glenn, his roommate, who snores in the big crib across the room. "Shush up, you'll wake your roomie." Red tickles Billy under his chin and says, "I'll be back in a minute after I set up the carts." Billy turns his head to see what he can of Red walking out of the room. A few minutes later, another attendant bends over Billy's bed rails, and the unpleasant, musky scent of Peter wafts over him. The rails of his bed lower with a clunk. Sheets and blankets are ripped away, and the rush of cold air slaps Billy's arms and legs. Billy clenches his jaw. "Shit, even your T-shirt is wet," Billy hisses, his face 3 feet from Billy's. Cigarette breath hits Billy in the face as he stares up at Peter. Legally blind in his gray fog of vision, Billy sees Peter, a white man dressed in a gray shirt, as a pale threat, and Billy growls, "Arg!" baring his teeth, then calling for "Ma." "You think that stupid noise you make scares me." Peter growls back, but steps away. "Don't give me a hard time this morning. I partied last night. I'm in a bad mood." Billy knows Peter's bad moods. He doesn't understand most of the words his attendants speak, doesn't know Peter by name, but he knows Peter's voice. He knows when Peter's tone means the morning is going to be okay, and when his voice means trouble. Peter grabs one of Billy's arms and hauls him up, so Billy dangles as Peter removes the shirt Billy slept in. This maneuver is possible because although he's a full-grown man, Billy is barely 3 feet tall and he weighs only 43 pounds. As Billy hangs by one arm, his body weight pulls on his shoulder. A twinge of pain shoots through the shoulder, then travels down his back. Jesus! Even though Peter has seen Billy's naked body hundreds of times, he recoils at the sight of the severely twisted, knotted rope of scoliosis, kyphosis, and lordosis that is Billy's back. Billy is 44 years old. He has never walked. He's never crawled. Except for his mother, his long-dead father, and his brother, he has rarely been touched by a human being who is not a caregiver. Billy opens his jaw wide. As he clamps it shut, he hears the clattering of the wash cart, stocked with basins of water, towels, soap, and clean diapers. Just as Red pushes the cart into the room, Peter yelps, "Son of a bitch!" and jumps back, letting Billy fall into the mattress. "You little shit, the little shit bit me," he says, rubbing the arm of his long-sleeved shirt. Red scoffs at Peter. "Where? That wet spot on your sleeve?" Peter turns to Billy. "Good morning again, little man." He squeezes Billy's shoulder before turning back to Peter. "You going to let a little saliva scare you? Tough guy like you." Red smirks. "If Billy wanted to hurt you, he would have ripped your shirt and taken a chunk." "You must have come on at him too hard. I told you, talk to him first. Rub his shoulders, say good morning. Give him a minute to wake up and figure out who the hell you are." "What is he? My fucking girlfriend," Peter says. He shoves up his sleeve and rubs the pink marks Billy's teeth left on his forearm. "What girl is going to get with you?" Red says. Billy's roommate Glenn is just waking up. His body is a snug fit in the generous crib. He kicks a leg in greeting, hitting the side rail. Red looks over his shoulder at Glenn and says, "Good morning, big man." "I'm reporting your little man to Nurse Rita." Peter leans over Billy. "Get her to zonk this guy with something that will keep his mouth shut for the rest of the day." "Billy is her favorite," Red scoffs at him. "And we've all had enough of you. Go ahead. Claim Billy bit you. I'll report abuse. Who are they going to believe? Everyone's noticed you've changed from almost tolerable to a total dirtbag." "Are you high already?" Red asks. The men face each other over Billy's crib. "Asshole," Peter says. "He doesn't have feelings like normal people. His brain is broke." "How do normal people feel things, Peter?" Red's voice shakes. "Do you feel anything? Or is the oxy doing its job?" Billy, still tensing his jaw, vigilant, watches the two misty figures float above him. He can't even roll over on his own, but he can watch the shadowy movement of Peter's head bobbing and Red's head shaking slowly. He doesn't understand most of the words they speak. Still, he listens to every syllable spoken and understands the anger, their tension, their fear. He knows which man leans towards him, which man faces away, knows which man is his friend. The men he watches are both in their 20s, muscular from lifting weights for vanity and from lifting bodies for a living. Peter is paler, shorter, and more muscular than Red. Billy has enough vision to differentiate them by sight if they're standing close to him and next to each other, which they are. Red is almost a head taller. Peter has a smudge of dirty blonde hair on the top of his head. Red has dark skin and thick ropes of dark hair that swing when he moves. Billy lifts his torso as far off the bed as he's able, not very far, turns his head to Peter and barks out another, "Argh!" "That all you got to say today?" Peter's lip curls. "Aren't you going to call your mommy again?" Across the room, Glenn vocalizes, a rumbling coming from his throat. The big man pays attention, but he has less awareness than Billy does. "Jesus," Red shakes his head at Peter. "You even got Glenn to weigh in. Go to work, Peter." Red snaps on a pair of gloves and puts some gloves on. Spoiled brat, Peter smirks, not moving. Mama's boy. Anytime something doesn't go away, it's Ma. You're taking too many steroids, Red says as he squirts body wash into the basin of warm water. On top of oxycodone? Red shakes his head. You are messed up, boy. You should know, Peter said. We used to take roids together. Do your AA buddies consider them a sin, too? I took that shit for like 2 weeks. Bad for your health, Red says calmly. And your breath, by the way. What'd you say? Peter snaps, even though he clearly heard. I said before you started mixing all that shit you take, you weren't such a nasty piece of work. The two men stare at each other. You used to be good people, Red says. Less of a jerk, anyways. Red points his chin at the dirty T-shirt Peter holds in his hands. Look, I don't want trouble. Toss that in the bucket. I'll dress these guys. Go help in the shower room. When did you become my boss? Peter makes a fist, but steps away from Billy's crib and chucks the shirt in the dirty clothes bucket. He stands between the two cribs, frowning. Red ignores him and throws a washcloth into the basin of warm water. Finally, Peter shrugs. Hey, you want to wash some tiny guy's ass? Be my guest, he says, and struts out. Billy, still on his back, has been straining to keep his head held a few inches off the mattress, watching, listening to the men argue. He lets his jaw go slack as the murky ghost of Peter disappears from the room. Red throws his head back and lets out a sigh of relief. Jesus, we need to relax. He stands over Billy and laughs. Billy listens, waiting to see if the sound turns from an unhappy to a happy laugh. I better call my sponsor, Red says. Just when I thought I didn't have a good story to tell at my meeting tonight. That boy scare you? Red pulls the cart with the basin of water, towels, and gloves closer to the crib. You scared him with those big teeth. Red's voice becomes cheerful. Billy's whole body relaxes back into the mattress. Didn't I tell you to stay away from punks? Red tickles Billy's foot before he runs a warm cloth over Billy's face, then pats it dry. Why do you want to make bad blood between me and that guy? He's the superintendent's nephew, Red says. Glad insinuates himself into the conversation with an excited, ee! Gah! Billy answers, just as enthusiastically. Red rattles the side wheel of Glenn's bed, which makes Glenn laugh. You were asleep when Billy needed you, weren't you? Red teases the big man. What kind of roomie sleeps through his buddy getting hassled? Big dude like you. Glenn laughs again. Red gets Billy washed, pulls the sheets over him, and hoists himself to sit on top of the low chest of drawers, taking a break while the roommates communicate in monosyllables. I'll say one thing for you, Red muses. You could teach those Zen masters a lesson about living in the moment. Look at you. 1 minute you're taking a bite out of that beastie boy. The next minute you're chatting up your bestie. Me, I need a break. I'm a lover, not a fighter. A beer would go so nice about now. Red leans his head against the wall and looks at the ceiling for a few minutes. Okay, guys. He hops down and takes a rugby shirt and jogging pants out of Billy's drawer, then grabs Glenn's favorite toy from a bin marked adult leisure items. He hands Glenn the Cabbage Patch doll in overalls. Glenn hugs the chubby, red-headed doll to his chest. Red's dreadlocks dance over the crib as he dresses Billy. Billy tries to catch a rope of hair, but his hands don't do what he wants them to, and he's only successful in slapping the ends. Slapping is good enough for Billy, who squeals, hee-hee! Leave my pretty hair alone! Red pulls back his dreadlocks and secures them in a ponytail. He dresses Billy and repeats stories he's heard about Billy as a young boy when biting a caregiver who angered him was not an uncommon occurrence. You haven't forgotten how to stop a punk when you need to, have you, little man? Red pulls on Billy's socks. Yeah, you know how to protect yourself. Just don't sink your teeth too far and get yourself in trouble again. You don't want to end up alone in your room most of the day with people approaching you from behind, do you? Or worse, get yourself zonked, like that fool said, and end up fried for most of the day. I'd like to take a bite of Peter myself, but we gotta be cool, little man. Thank you. So that's from the book. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to read an older piece that was first published in Hayden's Ferry Review a while ago, maybe 8-10 years ago. After I retired from Munson Developmental Center, I worked private duty for a woman who became a close friend. This story is also fiction inspired by life. It's called Swear. And there's swearing in it. I work private duty for a woman who is quadriplegic. I've lifted the dead weight of her, warm and alive though she is, 20 times a day for the last 5 years. As I squat and bend at the knees to reach under her armpits and lift her from wheelchair to shower chair, she says, "I'm dying." She says this at least once a shift. I believe her. She's not prone to melodrama, and working for her is a constant reminder that we are all dying. We're the same age, pushing 70. Right or wrong, I assume my own death is a couple decades away. The fact that she's on the fast track to life's last milestone becomes more obvious every time I work with her. Life's annoying, she says, but it's dying that really agitates me. Think I have a year? Maybe, I grunt. Non-committal. Not because I have no idea how much time she has, which I don't, but because I don't want to get into it right now. I can lift her by myself because she's so small and her braces aren't heavy, but it's not easy. She's sloping sideways, strapped in the shower chair, precarious and wet. I can't coordinate the shower hose, washcloth, her slippery naked body, and make a stab at the date of her demise all at the same time. She has MS, and the degenerative process of the disease seems to be accelerating. Her goal is to live out the year, so the state won't take the house she signed over to her oldest son, Todd. To live out a year seems a reasonable goal that I have no idea if she'll make. I have a goal of my own, which is to get her safely washed and dressed before talking about funeral arrangements, which is where the "I'm dying" comment always goes. During her bath, she asks, "Do me a favor?" She says it in a way that lets me know the favor is going to be above and beyond my usual duties. I don't respond. The bath is not going well. We're having quite a time stabilizing her on her shower chair. Today, for the first time, she can't let go of the washcloth I've wrapped her fist around. She hasn't been good at grasping without assistance for a long time. Now, the skill of letting go is fading. "Let go!" She yells at my hand. She yells at her own hand. Who can deny her right to be furious? First her legs, then her torso, then her right hand. For a long time, she called her left hand her faithful southpaw. But she's losing fine motor control in that hand too, and she's taking this betrayal hard. She's also spastic. Her muscles tense without her permission. She's angry now, and anger triggers her spasticity. Without warning, her legs go rigid lifting the front legs of the shower chair right off the floor, which causes her upper body to strain at the straps that stabilize her torso. "Allow yourself to emote," she screams. She's been going to support group. Support group hasn't impressed her, except for the emoting part. "Emote," she demands. I hadn't realized she was giving me an order. I'm a savvy nurse and don't argue with a woman who is a quadriplegic and whose shower chair straps aren't holding her torso in place. "This sucks," I yell, and grimace with effort as I try to keep her safely seated and bend her bored, straight legs at the same time. I push the chair against the front of the tub and use her rigid right leg as a brace to keep her from slipping onto the floor and to keep my own back from snapping. "Ingenious," she says sarcastically. I know the subtleties of her facial expression and tone well enough to know she's not complaining about my care. She's complaining about the rotten deal she got slammed with by the gene pool, or a virus, a vitamin D deficiency, whatever we're blaming MS on these days. If it was me, I'd be ranting directly at God. She doesn't rant at God. She rants at her husband on occasion. Rarely, she rants at me. "Do me a favor," she repeats pointedly. "What favor?" I frown and study her face. You got that look that screams proceed with caution. She thinks this is funny and laughs, which makes her leg push harder against the tub. "Ouch," she says. I bounce my hand against the tendon under her right knee so I can bend the knee and release the pressure against her big toe. That right toe gives her so much trouble. "Cut the damn thing off," she says. "The leg or the toe?" I ask. "Either." "Nope," I say. "They'd take my license." "You can have my license." She is a nurse, too. She hasn't worked as a nurse for years, but she keeps up her license. I think I would do the same in her position. It's something to say, "I'm a nurse." People think it says something particular about you, like maybe you weren't always quadriplegic, for example. "What's cutting off the limb the favor?" I ask. "No," she says. I'm feeling reckless. "Okay, what's the favor?" Her torso and arms have been towel dry, and her sweater and pants went on without a hitch. She's not yet in her wheelchair, still seated in her shower chair, but she's safely out of the crib. "When you're standing in line," she says, "at the wake, tell anyone who says, at least she's not suffering anymore, to go fuck themselves." I laugh. The F word is not a word I've heard from her before, except for the occasional use of the word dick to describe really inconsiderate people. She counts on me to do the heavy lifting when it comes to swearing, considers it part of my job, says I got more time to repent. I squat to towel off her feet, taking a moment to consider. I can do that. She smirks. "You're going to stand in the receiving line at the wake then?" She's been trying to get me to say I'll greet people at her wake. I think this task is way more appropriate for her sons and her husband. "Go fuck yourself," I say. She makes a snorting noise. Her snorts are usually delicate and doe-like. This one is wild boar. Her legs slam against my belly. The wind is knocked out of me. I yell, "Hey!" I slide to the floor in front of her. "Oh, God, are you all right?" Her voice is panicked. I have a big butt. Yes, I do. And know how to fall on it without hurting myself. When she sees that I'm okay, she snorts again, a little more ladylike this time. I sit on the floor with one of her rigid legs on each side of me. I'm taking a break, I say. Mind if I join you? She laughs again into the moist air of the bathroom. Her legs release slowly. Her toes come to rest beside my hips. Her support group would approve of this healing laughter. A few good snorts could help her with her goal of living out the year. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're making me very happy. Thank you. Now we get to hear Renee. Lucky us. Renee Schultz grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. Her love of books began as a little girl, piling them in her arms at the local library, a small room in Denmark State Bank. Books and writing have accompanied her ever since. Renee's writing has appeared in Peregrine, Anthology 2017, the Gallery of Readers Press, Grateful Living, National Down Syndrome Congress Magazine, public seminars, and others. She is also the co-author of the Mother-Daughter Project. Renee has been writing about her journey as a mother ever since a friend suggested she join a writing group by Pat Schneider of Amherst Writers and Artists when her son Ian was only a year old. Some of us have been fortunate enough to have heard her writing over the years, but in this past year, she has been working diligently to craft a memoir based on her experience as a mother over 40 years. I am so honored to introduce my beloved friend, Renee. Yay! Yeah. Who I have been writing, laughing, and crying with, I'm saying for over 20 years. Her writing is riveting, plain-spoken, brave, honest, and moving without melodrama. Her characters are fully alive on the page, people can relate to, because we can see, hear, smell, and touch them. I love Renee's writing. I love Renee. Renee will be reading 2 excerpts from her memoir. The first begins the book. The second piece is almost 40 years later. Renee Schultz.
I'd like to begin by thanking the Gallery of Readers and Carol and Robin in particular for their ongoing work in having this reading series for all of us. I'd like you to know a little bit about my son. He's 41 years old. He lives in a group home and is currently in a 4-year inclusive learning program at UMass for adults with disabilities. I asked Ian's house manager how she would describe Ian, and this is what she tells new staff. Ian is charming, persuasive, charismatic, and very stubborn. You have not worked with a client like Ian before, and you never will again. He's one of a kind. I'll be reading 2 pieces. The first begins my memoir, the other occurs during COVID. It's a boy, Ron whispers into my ear. The labor had been rapid, one contraction following another, piggyback style. The birth is a maelstrom. 1 minute, I'm lying on the bed in the labor room. The next, I'm being wheeled to the delivery area. I barely hear the scuffle of voices, a nurse insisting that I be moved off the bed. Judy, my midwife, says, no time. I give one more big push and the baby bursts out of me, tearing me on its way. Oh my, he's so little, I hear Judy say. Before I even take a peek or touch his tiny fingers, the baby is whisked away, Something is wrong. I don't know what, but something is wrong. As I'm wheeled back to the labor room, I tremble violently. It's the adrenaline, the nurse tells me. I'll get you a pile of warm blankets. That will help. Her voice is kind. She's comforting as she wraps the heated blankets around me. Ron and I don't speak. All we do is hold hands and wait. It feels like hours rather than minutes before the door to my room opens. I notice that Judy is wearing brown moccasins with a hard sole. Did she have those on the whole time? I don't know how to tell you this, she says. Tears streak her cheeks. Your baby has Down syndrome. Down syndrome? Down syndrome? The words reverberate. All those hours I spent reading the statistics, the unlikely probability that I would be the one in 1,000, and I'm it. I'm the one. Ron is asking questions, but all I hear is a voice inside me. Oh, please, God, not this. My teeth chatter. My whole body starts to tremble again. Tears flow down my cheeks. Suddenly, I'm aware of the room around me. Ron is holding my hand. Judy stands near the foot of the bed. I turn my head towards Ron. He's crying. He's crying? Can we hold the baby, he asks. Not yet. He's under warming lights. He can't keep his temperature up to normal. Well, can we see him? Ron persists. I look at Ron. How come he wants to see the baby? I don't want to see him. I just want to go home and start over. Take a different turn in the road. Anything but this. Let me see if I can get the baby, Judy tells him. The nurses had to give him oxygen and clean him up. Let me see if I can bring him to you. After she leaves, Ron strokes my face. It'll be okay, Renee. We're going to be okay. No, we won't. We will never be okay again. I cry harder now than before. I'm supposed to be happy. Judy comes back, pushing a plastic box on a cart. She wheels it up to the right side of my bed where Ron is standing. The baby is enclosed behind a plastic barrier. She doesn't hand him to me or Ron. Instead, we look. He's the smallest baby I have ever seen, tightly wrapped in a white blanket. His tiny head has the face of a scrunched-up old man. I look, but already the label is stamped on him with his moon face and slanted eyes. He is not cute. There is nothing precious about him. He is just a tiny baby with Down syndrome. I need to take him back to the nursery, Judy says after we have stared at him for a few minutes. We've got to get him back under the warming lights. Why can't we hold him under the warming lights, Ron asks. I guess that might be possible. I'll take him back to the nursery, and then I'll be right back. When Judy returns, she tells me that I've been given a private room, and they'll bring me the baby and the warming lights, but it will take a while before it's ready. Ron, do you want to call your parents? I'll stay with Renee. After Ron leaves, Judy sits on the edge of the bed, holding my hand. We don't speak. I close my eyes and burrow under the pile of blankets. How am I going to raise a retarded child? Do I have the patience? I don't think so. I feel a wave of shame when I think of Ron talking to his parents and mine. As I lie in bed, I hear my father's voice. Shame on you. Shame on you. He said that over and over and over again when I was a child. Shame on you. Only now I start thinking, shame on me. I made a terrible mistake listening to that doctor. I should have insisted on amniocentesis. Through all the fault that accompanies being an older mother, shame oozes from my pores. When Ron returns, Judy pushes my bed through the silent halls. Everyone must be sleeping, I think, as we pass by the quiet rooms. I picture the other new mothers, all with their healthy newborn babies, and feel a wave of anger and jealousy. Why couldn't I be one of them? When Ron and I are alone in the private room I've been given, I ask him how it was to talk to his parents. I think my dad answered the phone, but I'm not even sure. They were both on the phone when I said that you'd had the baby. But then I started crying so hard I couldn't talk. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I managed to blurt out that the baby has Down syndrome, but then I couldn't really talk and just said that I had to go. You okay? Not really. Me neither. We wrap our arms around each other, both of us crying, even though there are moments when I feel lost in my thoughts. I'm not alone. When I finally hold my newborn baby with the warming lights over the three of us, I am surprised to feel comforted. As soon as the nurse leaves and we are alone again, I unwrap the blanket and look at his tiny body. His little hands and fingers are perfectly shaped. He looks fragile, as though he'll break with his spindly arms and legs. I wrap the blanket back around him and hold him in my arms. He's just a baby, a tiny baby. It's not his fault. It's not even my fault. He's just a newborn baby. But I want to be like those other mothers on the board, not hidden in a single room at the end of a hallway. In a maternity ward full of joy, my room exudes gloom. My son's birth was not the first time I was enveloped in a cloud of fear and shame. A lifetime ago, I'd been swallowed whole. I'd been 20 years old when I married the first time. He was a Vietnam vet, fresh from a life I couldn't imagine, nor could he talk about. I only witnessed the aftermath with no label of post-traumatic stress disorder or help back then to help us steer our way. In retrospect, I barely knew the man I married. Or perhaps he was a different man after Vietnam. He told me things I didn't believe could be true. We were living in a quiet, suburban California neighborhood. Did someone really point a gun at him on his way home from the airbase where he was stationed? Was there really someone threatening him in the grocery store? That couldn't be true, could it? He didn't just see violence around him, it lived in him. That first year, he pounded walls. He broke the stove hood in a rented apartment. He threatened me. He yelled at me. Nobody had ever yelled in the house I'd grown up in. I didn't yell back. By the second year, he began stealing things from his workplace. That's wrong, I said. You can't do that. Don't tell me what to do, he growled. The violence escalated. Did hearing our neighbor's raised voice and his wife pleading and crying beneath us allow him to rage at me? I cowered. I didn't fight back. I told myself I'd married in sickness and in health, till death do us part. In my family, divorce was out of the question. You made your bed, now lie in it, my mother would repeatedly say to me as I was growing up. This was not an exception. There would be no help from her or my dad. I tried to please my husband. I tried to reason with him. I tried to make myself invisible. I endured. For 2.5 years, I endured, until I received a call from a stranger, a woman. Please, don't hang up, she said. I've been having an affair with your husband. He's not okay. He's a sick man. It's not your fault. I'm sorry. I've ended it. I'm really sorry. I don't remember a lot of that conversation, but enough to know that gifts come in strange packages. I know about the affair, I said to my husband in the bright light of the next morning after I'd had a chance to think about next steps. You need help, I said. We need help, I amended. He slammed me against the window, the one with the unfinished curtains, the ones with straight pins holding up the hem. They pierced my legs. When he left for work, I made us an appointment, one session of couples counseling, and he was clear that he was fine. The problem all mine. I left. You left him? My mother sounded angry when I told her. By then, my husband and I had moved across the country from California to Massachusetts, 1,100 miles from the home where I'd grown up. Why? I told her the story, the affair, the violence, how scared I was. And you left? You can't just leave. Your father pushed me down the stairs once. It's just the way men are, she said. I wasn't surprised by my mother's response. She was a harsh, cold woman. I knew that she'd be angry with me and ashamed, but I hoped they'd lend a helping hand. They didn't. A friend did. She and her husband gave me a room in their apartment, found me a bed, gave me a place from which to launch again. But that was then. Then I could leave. This was different. A child, my child, our child. That's a different story. I'm supposed to love him, I hear myself saying, although I'm not sure if the thought only crossed my mind or if I spoke it aloud until Ron wiped the tears from my cheeks with his warm fingers. He didn't say a word, just brushed each tear as it dripped. What if I can't? Already the words, I can't do it, were reverberating. I'm not strong enough, not loving enough, not big enough to embrace this unknown future. I can't do it. Barely 2 hours into being a new mother, and I was certain that I was a failure. If this were my second child, not my first, maybe I wouldn't have felt so completely and utterly overwhelmed. I'd be sad. Certainly I'd be sad, but I'd know how to be a mother. I'd know that you fall in love from the countless ways you care for a newborn, nursing him, cutting tiny slivers off baby fingernails when a scratch appeared on a cheek, holding on securely when washing a slippery body, wrapping that little body into a blanket, burrito style. I'd have known I could trust myself, or I'd have known I couldn't. And if I couldn't, I'd have been able to tell the social worker, who is certainly going to appear in the full light of the morning, take him. Although technically, it already was morning and close to 5 o'clock, the time my parents would have left the comfort of their beds, dressed in their warmest clothes and walked across the wind-swept snowdrifts of the barnyard and into the milking parlor, where the cows stood, their heads trapped in metal stanchions. Instead, it felt like the dead of night. The room was dark except for the single light near the bed. If my parents had still been milking cows, they'd be listening to the sounds of the cows munching on hay and the wheezing of the milking machines. My mother would have turned on the radio, tuned to the only station that played classical music. But what was I doing thinking about the barn and the cows and my parents? Was there something wrong with me? Well, yes, of course there was something wrong with me. Better to think of the cows than my fate. What was my fate exactly? I had a loving husband. I had a career. I had a home. We had 2 dogs. We had a rural community. We had friends. But I had jealousy. I had failure and shame. I had a rabbit hole of a future that looked as bleak as I could imagine. Maybe this wasn't real. maybe I would wake up and realize that I just had another nightmare. It wouldn't be the first, that was for sure. Nightmares had accompanied me since childhood. There was a recurring one in which a deck of cards came to life as the King of Hearts, the Queen of Diamonds, and the Jack of Spades loomed over me. They'd frighten me, but not nearly as much as the Joker when he appeared. This might be a nightmare. I might wake up and realize that I hadn't even had the baby. If that were the case, then I could dream another fate into existence. That's what I'd do. I'd go to sleep, and when I woke up, I'd find myself under the cement blanket, our nickname for the heavy comforter that surrounded us when the fire in the wood stove had died to embers, and the old house shuddered in the cold. I'd just close my eyes, and everything would disappear. The baby, my thoughts, even I would disappear. Slowly the night passes. A nurse takes the baby away for tests, and we return to the comfort of being the two of us again. In the intense uncertainty of what lies ahead, I close my eyes and try to quiet my racing mind. I feel the comforting warmth of Ron next to me and hear the soft change in his breathing as he falls asleep. I can't sleep, but at least I can rest. On the first day of... Wait a second. I need a drink. On the first day of COVID lockdown, I get a call from Ian. Hey, hi, Mom. What you doing? Not much. What's up? Mom, guess what? Ian sounds excited. What? I on vacation. That's great, Ian. Do you know why? Virus. 2 months into lockdown, we drive the 45 minutes to Ian's house and visit him in his backyard, keeping the recommended 6 feet away. Only staff are allowed into group homes across the state. But I'm not sure we'd go in even if we could. We're old. Every time I leave Ian, I feel afraid that if he gets COVID and lands in the hospital, I'll never be able to hug him again. Ever since Ian was a baby, I've always been comforted by being able to hug him or put an arm around his shoulder, but now I can't. When we leave, I watch Ian stand on the back steps of his house. He waves to us with both hands, the way his Italian grandmother used to do. Ciao, ciao, he calls to us. We open the car windows, waving and calling, ciao, back to him. Now we're 100 days into lockdown, and it no longer feels like a vacation to Ian. 100 days that Ian has been confined to his group home. 100 days of no day program. 100 days of no going to the library, no shopping, no going out to eat in a restaurant. 100 days without seeing his friends outside the little circle of his group home. 100 days must be feeling like a lifetime to Ian with his limited ability to comprehend the seriousness of COVID-19. Do you think you could talk to Ian? Tammy, the house manager at Ian's group home, asks me as soon as I answer the phone. Sure. What's up? Ian got angry and called the police this morning. I couldn't take him to the drive-up window at Dunkin'. Does he understand why you couldn't take him? I told him there wasn't enough staff, but he didn't care. I get it. I'll talk to him. Hi, Ian, I say as soon as he picks up the phone. How are you? Not so good, huh? Yeah. Tammy told me you got angry this morning. What happened? She no take me to Dunkin'. How come? I have no idea. I bet you do. There aren't enough staff in the house. Tammy sounded upset. What happened? I not tell you. You be mad. I won't be mad. Come on, Ian. Just tell me what happened. I called the police. You did? What did you say? I say, This is Ian Schultz Bear, 16 George Street. I be held hostage. You didn't. I know that I shouldn't laugh, but I can't stop myself from giggling. Mom, no laugh at me. Oh, Ian, I'm not laughing at you. You want to hear something funny? I feel like I'm being held hostage, too. None of us can go anywhere. It pretty much sucks. But you can't call the police. Was it an emergency? No, Mom. Ian has a particular tone of voice somewhere between resignation and contrition when he knows he didn't make the world's best choice. Did you think they were going to help you? Yeah. Is that their job? Not really. Did they come to the house? I call 911. They come. Bet they weren't too happy. No. Sounds like you're getting pretty buggy. Just need to get out of the house, huh? Yeah. Listen, Dad and I are doing what we can so that staff will take you out more often. You are? Absolutely. Nothing has worked out yet, but we're doing our best. Maybe soon, but Ian, you've got to sleep at night. Ever since COVID lockdown, Ian has been sleeping less and less. That's never good news. Do you know what happens when you don't sleep? Yeah, Mom. Crazy in the head. Pretty much. No more calling the cops, right? What can you do instead? Talk to staff. Yeah. Who else? You. Bingo. Or Dad. Just no more cops. Thank you. Thank you all.
Wasn't so bad. Not so bad. Thank you so much, Renee and Sally, and all of you who came out and tuned in. It's just a great pleasure to have a gathering like this and hear your wonderful words. Please come back on December 13th when Deborah Shifter and Liz George will be reading. 4 p.m. Saturday, the 13th of December. And meanwhile, fight the good fight and enjoy each other and the refreshments out there. Thanks a lot.